our office in Brooklyn. Can you hear me?
Yeah!
Good. Here in New York, we're helping lead the fight to ban fracking. And we're also working closely with GMO-free New York, the Northeast Organic Farming Association, and other allies to support legislation requiring the labeling of genetically engineered foods. Under any circumstances, passing a bill into law is difficult and time-consuming. It takes a lot of effort and a long time. But folks, these aren't ordinary circumstances because we're going up against some of those powerful, wealthy corporate interests, including one of the world's most nefarious corporations, Monsanto. Food and Water Watch. Food and Water Watch is all about building the power to take on corporate interests and win. But we recognize that the playing field is not fair, that wealthy interests have an unfair advantage, which is why we're supporting campaign finance reform in Albany, fair elections, and why you should too. At the same time, Food and Water Watch is helping build a movement here in New York and across the country for a fair and sustainable food system. Thanks to the power of this movement, thanks to you, we've managed to keep Walmart out of New York City. The fracking rigs at bay for the moment. And now we're taking on Monsanto in an effort to allow consumers the right to know what's in their food. There are three action steps that we're asking you to take. First of all, circulate our petition to your friends, family, and neighbors. There are 4 clipboards going around as we speak. Petitions, please make sure they get back to me before we leave. Second, circulate our coalition sign-on letter to churches, food co-ops, and health food stores, and other businesses and institutions that might be. And third, all your own legislators, your assembly members, senators. As I mentioned, we're working to support legislation to require the labeling of GM foods. This legislation has been introduced in both the State Assembly and the State Senate. In the Assembly, the chief sponsor is Linda Rosenthal, a wonderful progressive Democrat from the Upper West Side of Manhattan. And the bill number is A3525. In the Senate, the chief sponsor is Kenneth Laval, a Republican from Long Island. And the bill number is S3835. As I also mentioned, passing a bill is a lengthy, fairly complex process, with the aim being winning the support of the legislature's leaders, having the bill come to a vote and passing, and then having the governor sign it. In order to achieve this, we need to build grassroots support for the bill and translate that support among rank-and-file legislators in Albany. The main way of doing this is recruiting co-sponsors for the bill. That is having legislators, both assembly members and senators, sign as formal supporters of the bill. At this point in the process, we're still actively seeking co-sponsors of these bills, and we need your help. There are 150 members of the Assembly. At this moment, there are 42 co-sponsors of the bill. There are 63 members in the Senate, and at this moment, there are 5. Just 5 co-sponsors of the bill in the Senate. There is no magic number of co-sponsors. The more, the better. Getting co-sponsors, that is getting legislators to show their support for the bill, is critical to nudging the bill through the process, being first getting it approved by the committees that are considering the bill. In the Assembly, that committee is the Committee on Consumer Affairs, chaired by Assembly Member Jeffrey Dinowitz, a Democrat from the Bronx. In the Senate, that committee is the Consumer Protection Committee, chaired by Senator Lee Zeldin, a Republican from Long Island. With that in mind, our advocacy efforts are geared towards getting our legislators to influence the committee chairs as well as the top legislative leadership, Speaker Shelley Silver and Majority Leader Skelos. Again, passing legislation is a long process, a process that Food and Water Watch and our allies are engaged in numerous states across the country, from Maine to Washington. We're convinced, we are convinced with the growing grassroots power of our movement and the overwhelming public support for GE labeling that it will pass, eventually. And once it happens in one state, the other dominoes may start to fall. That first state just might be New York. Only if you get involved. So please, collect petitions, get endorsements, and call your legislators. Here's the bottom line. Here is the bottom line. Monsanto has too much power over our food system. Monsanto is a major force within the growing corporate consolidation and control of our food system, dictating what we eat and how it's produced and sold. It's a system described by Food and Water Watch's own executive director, Unuion in her new book, Foodopoly, which lays out the history of how corporations came to dominate food politics and food policy. This legislation and the movement that we are building, that you are building, to support it is one important step towards dismantling Monsanto's power over our food system. So please get those petitions back to me.